You definitely already know about the welcome series, the abandoned cart, the post-purchase, and the other basic email flows that you need to have set up within your Klaviyo account. But to get the most out of your email marketing channel, it would be completely wrong to think that you can just stop there. What if I told you that for your brand, those flows that I mentioned aren't even in the top 3 email flows that you need to set up right now? The best brands are using smarter and more strategic flows that other brands aren't even thinking about to drive more revenue, engagement, and lifetime value out of their lists. In this video, I'm breaking down the 3 best email marketing flows that you needed yesterday in order to turn high intent visitors into customers, drive more lifetime value out of your lists, and see increased engagement throughout the life cycle of all of the customers for your brand. So let's get into it. So as we can see here, these are the new 3 best e-commerce email marketing flows that you needed yesterday, probably some flows you haven't even thought about before. So you can see here, this doc is down in the description as well as always. Here are the 2 Connors from Kensington Media House, and you can see some of our best content here below in the guide. Once again, you can get it in the description. You can join our newsletter also through the link in the description. So the first flow that we're going to be talking about is called the site abandon flow. So often in the accounts that I audit from a lot of people who book in meetings from this YouTube channel, even, they really never have this flow live, and it's a really powerful one that I think a lot of people still don't know about, even though it's been something that we've been implementing for clients for 4 years now at this point. So where this kind of sits is between the welcome series and the browse abandon. So for a refresher, when someone goes into your browse abandon flow, it's that they viewed a specific product. They've gone onto a product page, and we can actually see that they've actually looked at a product ID that we can then send emails to them based on, so we can actually pull in dynamically the products that they viewed. Now, site abandon is when someone is active on site. This is going to be our trigger here. So what this would mean if someone hasn't gone on to the stage of viewing a product, so they viewed the homepage, they viewed some other random page on the website like shipping policy potentially, or chiefly a lot of these people, it's that they viewed a collections page, but they haven't made that step just yet to where they viewed an actual specific product page. So for these people, we're not going to treat them exactly like they're in browse abandoned. It's quite a low intent flow. Really what we like to do with this flow is just to have kind of curiosity based emails, just kind of make it almost look like a campaign somewhat, and just drive them a little bit further down the funnel. The whole idea here is to get people to click. The whole idea is to just try and, get them to engage with us in any other way possible, and to acknowledge that they have already shown some interest with us. So you can see here, we don't put on any trigger filters here, but what we're going to do is look at profile filters, because if anyone views product, we don't want them to get this. If anyone starts checkout, we don't want them to do this. If anyone has added to cart, we don't want them to get this flow. If they've placed order, we don't want them to get this flow. And really, we only want them to get the flow once in their lifetime. That's what we have, has not been in flow at any time. And then also we just have a couple of different flows here, just because we have a couple of different flows live for this client as well with different names on them. For our abandoned browse, abandoned cart, and abandoned checkout, which we don't want them to get. You don't really need to look at the last 3 here, but definitely here you definitely need to pull in these 4. This flow, let's explain a little bit more. It's more of a best practice, and it gets sent to anyone, who just doesn't move on to these later stages, right? You really just need 1 email. We often do 2 these days, but really 1 will work very well. Like we said, we're just trying to get them to engage. So some examples here, which I'll pull in down below, but I'll just explain a couple of ways that you can really run this email and just make it seem really natural, and not have it be sort of creepy of, hey, we saw that you went onto our website, let's contact you. What you could personally do, like let's say if you were a fashion brand, you could say tap the picture that best represents your personal style, and it could just be 4 different collections for argument's sake, or it could be 4 different product categories that you put on just as an image. It could be tap the picture you feel best represents your personality. The biggest problem you're facing right now, this would be kind of more in the bottom case. This would be more with like a CPG brand if you had problems that people were facing. Here a lot of people just will pull in, let's say, a pretty chill email like this that looks like a browse abandoned email, nice high CTA above the fold, just pushes more products, sort of like showing them off more collections and just trying to get them to click another time. And you can see here, pretty simple. Are you interested in the products here? Yeah, pretty simple flow. What you should see with this flow is that it will actually be a pretty decent performer. Depending on your brand, you will actually see it probably perform, because so many people will actually get it, because a lot of people who go onto your website actually don't get to the level of viewing a product. You will actually see quite a few deliveries on this flow. You'll probably see this factor somewhere at like flow number 6 or somewhere in the account when you have your flows fully built out and firing really well, which it's not something to turn your nose up at. Depending on the size of your brand, this could be anywhere from a couple of grand a month to in some cases 10-20 grand a month. For many brands, if you're running a kind of a higher level of volume, no reason not to have a super easy flow to do. And yeah, it just gets people to kind of go further down the funnel over time. Flow number 2 is a sales cycle upsell. So this is kind of a different flow to the post-purchase flow, because what happens with this flow is that this is basically once someone has made their first purchase, we're coming in to drop in with them with emails roughly 2 weeks into them having the product, more or less around that time. Something I've spoken about in previous videos, and we're going to be making a video on this pretty soon in terms of brand archetypes and things like that in a presentation that we just made at a big e-commerce mastermind, is that a lot of lifetime value, far more than people realize, actually gets driven in the first 90 days post-acquisition. So that period is extremely crucial, and I actually see so many brands who aren't aggressive enough in that period. This flow sort of helps ameliorate that, and it drops in at a really good time where we might try to push someone to buy pretty much straight away and try to get them to come back and see, can we increase their value a little bit more right at the point that they've actually purchased. But then also here, a couple of weeks into when they purchased, we just kind of re-enter that conversation and try to get them to come back. So you'll see here with the trigger, this is when someone's fulfilled order, because some people could cancel orders, some people could send their order back. We want to make sure that people have actually got the physical products in their hands and that they've had some time to see if they like the products or not. So you can kind of see here when someone fulfills orders. So this is maybe they'll get this 5 days after they purchase. We then wait 8 days and we'll kind of drop in, and I'll show you a couple of emails that we actually pull into this. We also do this for when someone's placed 2 orders, so it's kind of going from first purchase to second, and then second purchase to third. And yeah, you can see here if someone's placed order, they just will not get this flow, right? So that's like the main profile filter. So once again, like I'm saying, you will actually see so much more of your LTV come in the first 90 days post-acquisition than you realize. I think this is actually something that we were analyzing a lot in the middle of last year, and it didn't really matter if someone was a really high ticket brand or if they were really low ticket. Like, it didn't matter if it was a furniture store or if it was a perfume brand. We actually saw that those first 90 days were extremely, extremely important. So here are going to be a couple of emails that we pull in. So you can see here roughly the structure that we do. Email 1, 7 to 10 days post fulfill. Email 2, 7 to 10 days later. And then email 3, 10 to 14 days later. We just try to casually push them further down to try and get them to come back. You actually will see really good click-through rates on these, despite really not having offers until the end of the flow. So you can see here, get even more. We're delighted you started your journey. You can see the messaging is just trying to acknowledge that they have purchased before, and then just try to get them to find something that matches what they've purchased. You can see how this would probably factor in for your brand. Once again, this doc is in the description of the video. That is what the first email will look like. Pretty simple, pretty chill, but you'll actually see really good click-through rates on these. And you can see here that you pushed and dropped in with a little offer here in this email. But yeah, a really nice way to just drive people a little bit further down the funnel. You can see here we're not like really aggressively selling, and you don't really have to, and you still will see really good conversion rates off of these emails and really strong click-through rates in spite of everything. And then the final email, we just kind of drop in, remind them, and we're just kind of acknowledging their purchase. And in this case, if you are struggling with kind of repeat order rates, this is a really good flow to have, and to drop in this little bit of urgency like we're doing here, this tiny kind of drop of urgency that you're having here. Hey, look, like this code is going to expire. You will see actually the final email will do some really, really nice revenue. And yeah, I think it's a perfect time to drop in. Once again, be thinking all the time for your brand. The idea of future LTV 6 months into the future doesn't pay your bills now, right? So we want to make sure that this 90-day period after they're acquired, we don't want to be really aggressive to the point where it's distasteful. I'm not saying to do that, but we still want to give people offers. We still want to get in front of them and let them know, hey, we're here and you can purchase. What I would say is, for many brands, there's a caveat here in that some brands are very aggressive with how they run email marketing. Some brands do a lot of offers and things like that. But equally, I speak to a lot of brands where they could be a little bit more aggressive. And I think a lot of the advice that you see online about community building and things like that, many brands take that a little bit too far, and I think they're a little bit afraid of annoying some people on their list. They're a little bit afraid of having a slightly higher unsubscribe rate. But you'll actually see a lot of the best brands that we see who make incredible revenue and results from email marketing, you actually see they're not afraid to break a few eggs to make an omelette. So the final flow here is going to be the potential purchaser flow. So remember, we were saying about the site abandoned, it sort of sits between the welcome series and the browse abandoned. They haven't viewed a product page just yet. This one actually sort of sits between browse abandoned and abandoned cart. Think of you when you're shopping, right? We get this perception as marketers when we're looking behind the scenes. We think that people make a really linear journey towards purchasing. We think that they get active on the site, they sign up for email marketing, they go through a couple of emails, and they go to viewed product right away in the same session, then they'll add it to cart right away in the same session, and then they'll initiate checkout in the same session, and then they purchase. But we all know that it's far messier than that. If you think of you when you're purchasing something, I know for me personally, if I really want to buy something, I'll view it 7 times in 3 days, and then when I'm really certain I want to buy it, then I'll add it to cart, then I'll initiate checkout. So this flow deals with that, the idea that so many people will they'll view something 7 times in 3 days. You have got to realize that that person is actually a little bit different than someone in browse abandoned. They're a little bit higher intent. So we'll just drop in with these people and kind of acknowledge that they're a little bit different, and we'll kind of have a couple of emails that'll just kind of try and drive them to purchase and let them know, hey, we know you're really thinking about this, as you should. And yeah, so you can see here, this segment, you can manipulate this for your needs, right? If you wanted to make it a bit more specific, like you could have this be like, has viewed a product at least 5 times in the last 30 days, or they've clicked email at least 5 in the last 30 days. Like you can manipulate these numbers numbers any way that you want. We're just going to make sure that they've kind of that we've made sure that they're not going to be in any of the other flows as well. So you just want to make sure you have a ton of exclusions where, you know, this person's not going to be still receiving welcome series emails outside abandoned emails or browse abandoned emails. So we just want to make sure that these people are not getting bombarded with emails necessarily, right? So this is going to be for a very like slight group of people who fulfill certain characteristics, who aren't in a load of other flows but have still been kind of just floating around and looking at our products and just generally seeing if they want to purchase. We can drop in and hit them with a really nice flow at the right time. A lot of these people are going to purchase. So you can see here, you can kind of zoom in and see the copy here a little bit more, you know, where we're kind of still trying to win them over a little bit more, a little bit longer copy, more reviews in the email as well. Then we have the second email here, and you can see haven't found your piece yet. So we're kind of acknowledging here, hey, we know you've been browsing, we know you've been looking, we know you've been trying to find the perfect products for you. And so we just drop in and try to win them over a little bit more and warm them up a little bit more with these emails. So you can see here, it's actually a super simple flow as well to do this potential purchaser flow. And yeah, really impactful, really powerful flow. So that is the video. You can see here, pretty short one, and you can see that these flows are super easy to implement. Please implement them as soon as you possibly can. They will actually garner massive results for your brand. The newsletter, by the way, always sees this stuff first, so you can join that in the description. This doc is of course down in the description, as it always is. And yeah, you can have all of these guides before YouTube ever sees them. You can also connect with us here. If you have any questions, drop me an email here too about anything in the video. We always respond to all those questions. And finally, if you need more help, you're doing at least 100k a month online, book in. We'll give you a free audit of your CRM, and you'll at least walk away with a ton of insights that you didn't know before, even if we don't decide to work together. Our goal is just to help as many brands as we possibly can. Thank you very much for watching. So like we said, most brands don't know all of the email flows that they can possibly implement for themselves and leave massive amounts of money on the table as a result. So watching this, like I said, isn't enough. Please implement these as soon as you can. Please take the insights and use them to drive as much revenue as you can for your brand from the email channel. Finally, if you want to get a full end-to-end guide on how to make this year your most successful year with your brand, and especially with the email marketing channel, you can watch this full course video right here. I'll see you there.